Today's topic is obviously when God interrupts your plans. And if I'm being honest, I didn't want God interrupting my plan. I had a plan. I knew who I wanted to be. I knew what I was born to do. I knew I was born to be a mother. I knew I was born to be a wife. What I didn't know was how God was going to get me there. So like from the outside looking in, it looked exactly like the plan, right? Marriage, kids, house, milestones, smiles for social media. I was checking all the boxes and posting receipts, right? The Look God, I Did It Right album. But behind the scenes, it was hard. There was toxicity, there was a lot of disrespect, substance abuse, and this constant feeling of why do I have to beg somebody to show up, right? And one of the heaviest parts of my divorce wasn't the loss of the marriage, it was the guilt, right? The guilt that whispered, you robbed your kids of a family, the guilt that said a good mom would have tried harder, you know. But here's what God slowly showed me: staying would have robbed them too of peace, of safety, of what healthy love is supposed to look like. And that really isn't blame, right? It's clarity. And I question God a lot. Why me? Why give me such a big heart for a family just to take it away? And if I'm really honest, I blamed him. You know, what I didn't have back then was accountability, though, right? I was young, I was proud, I was reactive. I didn't know how to stop talking, I didn't know how to surrender, right? And I wanted change, but only if the other person changed first, right? And that's a mirror moment for many. And for me, it was just that, like, um, recently I read something that wrecked me, and in a good way, though. It talked about how sometimes God changes the wife first, not the husband, right? And basically, it was saying that our words carry weight. The prayer can be more powerful than control, that nagging isn't faith, it's fear, and that marriage is long suffering, not because God is cruel, but because he's forming Christ in us, right? I realized I wasn't ready back then, not to love biblically, not to surrender pride, not to let God do the work instead of me. And I believe that this encapsulates that maturity, not the self-shaming, just my truth, right? By the time I chose divorce, I had already grieved the marriage inside the marriage, right? So after, the question wasn't how do I survive, it was how do I mother through guilt. I bought things, I overgave, because guilt writes checks logic can't cash, right? And then Q and Ray, right? And God really sent me somebody into my life who gently said they don't need more stuff, they need you, right? And I felt that that was very important because that was alignment, not replacement, right? And then looking back, I would relive every heartbreak to get here because God knew what he was doing before I even questioned him, right? What I thought was God taking something from me was him preparing me to steward it better, right? And that's why I believe that God interrupted my plans, not to punish me, but to mature me, right? Not to strip me, but to rebuild me. So today I thank God for every reroute, for every closed door, for every season that didn't make sense at the time, because I can say with full confidence, this is exactly where he wanted me to be. And if you're in the middle of an interruption right now, don't rush it. God doesn't waste seasons, he uses them, right? So thank you, God, for putting me in this exact place at this right moment.
Come on, Minister Jocelyn.